Hi guys, Mitchell here, Mitchell in Minnesota. Welcome back to my channel. Today I did an Instagram poll asking what you guys wanted to see video-wise for a couple of topics, so I'll put that here. So yeah, it was by quite a margin that we wanted to discuss, or you wanted me to discuss slider foods, and I have a bunch of examples of slider foods versus foods that I would try to eat instead. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I am 11 months out from gastric bypass Roux-en-Y. I had my revision surgery from lap band to gastric bypass Roux-en-Y on August 7th, 2018 at St. Joseph's Hospital in St. Paul, Minnesota. I am not quite to my goal, but I am a lot closer to my goal than I was a year ago. I am down about 70 pounds. So I'm feeling pretty good. And that brings us to this topic of slider foods. And slider foods are things that I've seen talked about a lot of times in videos or in Facebook groups and things like that. And I will say, and I will preface this by saying, you're gonna have your own slider foods versus me. I think there's a general idea of kind of what slider foods are, and that's where I'll leave that. I am not a medical professional. I am not a doctor. These are just my opinions, thoughts, and feelings, as well as the discussions that I've had with other people who have had bariatric surgery, as well as my nutritionist and my bariatric doctor. That being said, whatever you do is you, and you're going to have to figure out what works and what does not work for you. So I looked up, I'm reading my laptop here, so that's why I looked up. So looking up kind of what a slider food is, I think the slider foods from weight surgery patients are often simple processed carbohydrates of little to no nutritional value that slide right through the surgical stomach pouch without providing nutrition or satiation. Satiation being fullness, and I want to talk about that specifically. So again, it's going to be a lot of times processed foods, kind of icky foods. And by icky, I mean absolutely delicious, because that's what got me at least into the trouble in the first place, was all those foods tasted delicious, if you can call them foods. But so those types of foods that are high in carbs and fat and calories and do not provide you with the nutritional value that you need, and which can lead to being hungrier later and not feeling that satiation or fullness. And for me, that's the most important part of the experience. While nutritional value is critical, probably more critical than satiation, that feeling of full for me is so important. So important, okay? I want to make that crystal clear for myself. That is something that I feel, and I know that a lot of you have felt too. It's like that, where's that fullness? I don't feel the fullness. So I'm going to show you some of the products in my own home that would be considered slider foods. Now, these are all of I took these out of the part of the pantry that my husband uses, because after about 6 months out, I said, okay, you can bring back in the foods that you like, and I just have to learn how to live with regular foods in the house. And there's been some really good successes, and there has been a couple failures along the way, and I'm going to show you, because I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. So I'm going to start with a few things that would be considered slider foods for me, and I think probably a fair amount of you too. And the first is these blue corn chips from Target, Simply Balanced brand. This is just the type of chips we have here that he likes. But these are chips of any kind are really going to be slider foods. And you're like, oh, cool, they're organic, they're blue corn, they're great for you. No, there's 17 grams of carbs. There is lots of fat, lots of calories. Not that I count calories, but there's it's a wolf in sheep's clothing, which a lot of these are. And yeah, if I could do 9 chips, which is a serving size, even with a bariatric surgery, that would be one thing. I cannot. Chips slide right through our pouches. For most of us, I would say, again, I'm painting with a very broad, big brush. When you have something like chips, and it could be Lay's, it could be Fritos, it could be Cheetos, it could be corn chips, whatever it is that you feel is yummy to you, chip-wise, it's not a very small, it's not a small amount. Like when it's broken down, it's just, it goes right through your pouch. So there's a problem with satiation or feeling full, which is that physical reaction that we have. and it does not provide us with the nutrients that we need. So chips are a prime example of that. The next one that I want to talk about are things kind of like this. Again, kind of a wolf in sheep's clothing. This is, again, from Target, because we live by Target. They call it peanut butter chocolate trail mix. For the most part, I would call it puppy chow. Do you guys know that? It's puppy chow on the West Coast. I don't know what it is here. But it's got little peanut butter cups, milk chocolate covered cereal squares, puppy chow, peanuts, chocolate chips, and peanut butter chips. So this is a dangerous one too. It does the same thing. It's not going to fill you up. And there is 22 grams of carbs. There's 18 grams of sugar per third cup. And again, a slider of fruit doesn't allow you to feel satiated or full with a third of a cup. Does that make sense? Because if I were to be able to do that, that's one thing. But I can almost guarantee you, before I dumped, I'd be able to get down a good chunk of this bag. Same with this dark chocolate espresso that he likes. It's hard because you look at it and you're like, oh, I could get down with this. This is totally fine. No issues. Yes, issues all over the place. There's always going to be issues. Something else that is this kind of last thing that is a slider food. A lot of types of soft pastas. So like mac and cheese. He loves mac and cheese. And I've had it, I think, once or twice since surgery, and I could get a fair amount in, and that's when I realized that, oh, okay, so it breaks down and just goes right through the pouch. I don't feel full. I feel gross, and I'm not satisfied. And then I'm hungry an hour later. And I've been doing pretty good for the most part of him having whatever foods he likes in the house, because again, this is my journey, and I wanted him to have the foods that he likes, because he can absolutely, the difference between him and I is he can have this staring him in the face at his desk for 3 days. I couldn't do it for 45 minutes. And that's just a reality that I've always had when it comes to like snacky foods or foods in general. So yeah. So today we went grocery shopping and he got muffins because he wanted muffins, fine. And I saw them in the kitchen and I could not stop. So I ate the whole top off of a double chocolate muffin, or I think call it chocolate Dutch, whatever. Smells amazing. Not only did I feel pretty icky a half hour later, it did not fill me up. I didn't feel full. And then I felt super icky, gross, obviously dumping. And that was a failure on my part. Did I know that I was going to fail? Yes. Did I still do it? Yes. Did I learn from it? Yes. Will I do it again? Hopefully not. Because it's a silly decision and I can feel that with other things. I have lots of foods in the fridge, I'm in this fruit thing right now that I'm obsessed with fruit, strawberries and raspberries specifically. And being back home in Washington State, blackberries and huckleberries, so good. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I wanted to be honest with you too, but to come here and say like, oh, I don't eat slider foods. Yes, I do. And having been on vacation the last month and a half in Brazil and Argentina and back home in Washington State at my parents' house, yeah, I am up 2 pounds, which, I mean, last year at this time I was up like 15 pounds after vacation, so I feel pretty good about that. But that, it's not necessarily that my portions changed, but well, that's a lie. They did change. They were a little bit bigger. But the content of what I was eating was not nearly the appropriateness that it would be. So now that we've gotten these devil foods away from us, these sliders, let's talk about things that I use that fill me up very well when I eat them slow, cool, calm, and collected. And these are just 4 items. I did want to bring up chicken, fish, beef. A lot of people can handle one or all of it. I can handle all of them. I don't have any issues with that. I have noticed though that I have a hard time with food the second day. So if like for instance, I had shrimp at Olive Garden in Washington when I was with my mom, and brought it home, no issues while I was there. I got filled up super quick, came home later that night, so it was cold in the fridge. I warmed it up, tried it, it did not feel very good. So like felt like it got stuck or it was tearing or something like that. Okay, no, I don't need that. That's something, check off the list, because I don't want to feel icky like that. First thing that I love that keeps me going, and you've seen me talk about it, I think, a lot. It's probably my favorite thing in the world. It is the quick 1-minute Quaker Oats. I have a 1/4 cup or 1/2 cup, depending on how hungry I am, because it raises to double. So when I have a 1/4 cup, it's a 1/2 cup, and when I have a 1/2 cup, it's a cup of these oats. And yes, they are quite carby for those of you who are carb obsessed or lack thereof, right? But I have this in the morning and it helps give me the energy that I need throughout the day. I also mix in some of my Gen Pro protein powder most days to add that protein in there, and then I'll put some Splenda brown sugar on it, a tablespoon of that, and I love this because it's something that's super easy to make. I put on the tea kettle while I'm, getting dressed and doing my hair and stuff like that, and it is so stinking good, and it fills me up, and it's quick, it's easy, I can eat it slower, and it's something that makes me feel full. And keep in mind, I feel like I could eat a lot more, both in types of food and quantity, than most people who have had bariatric surgery. And I don't know if that's because I was lap band to RNY, but I've seen a couple of you, Little Kansas Kitty, Daniel's Journey, in their videos. Go check them out, they're fabulous. Sometimes, a few times I've heard them talk about, I was able to eat a lot, or why am I not feeling full? Why can I eat all this stuff? So try these if you're looking for something breakfasty that maybe you just want to add in once in a while. I think that is something that works for me. Next, another breakfast item is, I've talked about these two, are these Kodiak Cakes. This one is a power cake, 14 grams of protein. Again, they're a good breakfasty thing. Again, they have 28 grams of carbs, and that's not according to my nutritionist thing. So these are not an everyday thing. These are maybe once every couple weeks. What I like about them is that I get really good energy from them. There's only a few ingredients in it, and I can pronounce everything in there, so that's good. And they are, one serving size is 3 4-inch pancakes, and I probably have one. So cut that down. What's 30 divided by 3? I don't know, but it's certainly not 28 grams of carbs, so that's good. Maybe I am within the bounds of that. So that's Kodiak Cakes. I think they're like $4.99 at Target, and I had a really hard time spending the $5 on some pancake mix when I can get the Bisquick for like next to nothing. But it's super good. I also add, I used to add Fairlife to it. I do not drink Fairlife anymore, as their treatment of the cows were not, look it up. It's until they can get their stuff together. We won't be going to Fairlife, but that's okay. But I did use them, and so that added a lot of protein extra as well. So that's good. That's something else that really helped me feel full. These last two, this next one is something my husband got me turned on to. For those of you who have the store Hy-Vee around, any type of like beef stick. So this is just your generic. This is the one that he likes, but I like them too. It's 3 carbs per stick. A lot of things are less than that, and then it's 5 grams of fat for one. So it's a perfect snacky type thing. I've used it as a tide over to not making better choices, right? Eat it nice and slow, enjoy it. These types of things always hit the spot for me. And then my final one that I just absolutely love is our refried beans. I am obsessed with refried beans because, number one, they're absolutely delicious. For a half cup, there's 7 grams of protein, which is not terrible considering it could always be a lot worse. You can jazz it up with a little cheese, a little sour cream, whatever you need to put on there, and it makes me feel full. And that's something that I really need to be able to feel. I like feeling full or satiated. I like to feel like I don't need to be hungry. And I think that that's something that a lot of us in this community, the bariatric community, are scared to death of is, am I going to feel full? Am I going to feel satisfied in order to be successful? And that's a really hard question to answer because each of us are different. We have our own plans and we have our own ways that we have coped with food in the past and things that we have in our house or things that we won't have in our house. There's just so many different things to think about and consider when it comes to what is it that we're eating, why are we eating it. I've had a couple family members say that, well, the stuff that you're eating is just as bad. I'm like, okay, yes, I'm not, I don't even know how to address that because no, it's not, and yes, it is at the same time, I get it, but it works for me, and I've lost 70 pounds-ish in 11 months, so I feel really good about that, and I'm very proud of myself, and those of us in the community, in the bariatric community, we all understand most of us, that you do not do this for an easy way out. You do this because it is a tool. I can screw up tools all the time. I could still be the same weight. It's easy to work against this. It would be very easy for me to work against this. So that's something to keep in mind there. But other than that, that's just a very brief example. If you'd like to see something else like this with some more examples, please let me know in the comments. Feel free to email me at mitchellinminnesota@gmail.com or follow me on Instagram at mitchellinminnesota. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing great, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye. I hope you guys caught that light falling down at the very last second of my video. Bye, guys.